prior to the show, prior to me appearing on This Is Your Life, I'd always said to my wife, because I was quite popular, I'd done Just Good Friends a little bit, and you know, I was quite a little bit more in the public eye. And I said, if they ever call and say, you know, we'd like to do This Is Your Life with your husband, say no. He really doesn't want to do it. Anyway, she lied to me, and I ended up doing it. I was in Bristol doing Barnum. I'd done the wire walk, done all the business, and at the very end of the show, I go to the top of the theatre, the very top, and slide on a kind of rope slide all the way to the stage. Unfortunately, the night that I did This Is Your Life, as I slid down, it kind of stopped halfway, and I was hanging over the orchestra pit. So it wasn't the most slick entrance or end to the show. So they eventually hauled me on stage, and everyone was, ha ha, he made it, blah, blah. And then out of nowhere, Michael Aspel walked on with the little red book, and I thought, I told her, I said, don't. Anyway, the reason I didn't want to do it is because I'm quite a private person, and the idea of having my life paraded in front of everyone, I didn't kind of fancy, because I'm a little bit shy. No, I thought, oh, it's great. It's Michael Aspel, who I like. All the cast were very enthusiastic. They were all invited to the programme, which was lovely. And I suddenly thought, well, actually, this isn't a bad little record of your life somewhere down the line that you can bore your grandchildren with. They gave me sort of 5 or 10 minutes to get ready, took me to a TV studio, and put me in a kind of holding area. And as I walked out, I suddenly sat down on this chair. I met my wife, who was sitting there, and I noticed my parents were there, and I hadn't noticed them, and I sort of said, oh, like I hadn't seen them for 50 years. I mean, I started as a rock and roll piano player for Screaming Lord Sutch, and I remember Sutch came on with my leopard skin that I'd worn as a savage, because his band were called the Savages. And of course we had Oliver Tobias, I think, came on, and he was in my first musical, which was Hair. Wayne Sleep, I think, came on. I mean, Andrew was on there, Andrew Lloyd Webber. And of course, then you had people coming through like Michael Ball, who I'd done Pirates with. That was his very first show, Pirates of Penzance, in Manchester. Dora Bryan, who I'd done Charlie Girl with. A wonderful comedian, could sing, and you know, just was a wonderful. I remember as a kid when my mum used to take me to the pictures, as we called it then, seeing Dora in those kind of black and white comedies or whatever, and I always remembered her because she was very distinctive in her performances. So to finally end up working with her was, you know, quite, you know, all those memories are kind of encapsulated in This Is Your Life in a sense. But it was nice for my mum and dad, who had been divorced for many years, sitting there together. And of course, my children were there. My little boy Alex and Carmen and Oscar and Natasha were there. And the climax of the show, of course, was Jan Francis, who played Penny in Just Good Friends, which is probably my most visible show in terms of the general public. Just Good Friends was a big success. I had a bit of a career prior to that, some interesting shows like The First Jesus, we did Grease, the first, with Elaine Page, the first couple to play Grease in London. And I was beginning to start producing shows then. I started producing indeed Grease and Saturday Night Fever and many other shows. So that was a kind of turning point for me as I was beginning to age a bit and looking to do other things as well. I'd had a pop career, of course. Some of your older listeners may remember Dancing with the Captain, How Could You Forget? And of course, Grandma's Party. So I kind of done it all to some extent in terms of, you know, shows, TV, pop records. And at that point in my life, I was moving into producing. But I have got the red book. You can see it when you come into the house. It's not where you hang your coats, of course, but it's on a sort of table that if you happen to glance that way, you might see it. So I'm quite proud of the book. and occasionally I look back on it. Well, I'm very glad it happened, having sort of not wanted it to happen for many years and worried about it and being shy and thinking, oh God, what are they going to do? Will I be able to survive it? Actually, it was a very pleasant experience because, as I said earlier, you don't do anything. People come on, they're nice about you, they don't overstay their welcome, you give them a kiss and they go home. What could be better?